Those units, I've never seen that before.
Why are the
it's very doable for Cyril. So, like, I mean, we might actually get that insane finals that blows up the internet where it's Cyril versus Maru, the guys that won every tournament so far this year, Korea versus Finland. Like, yeah, that would be cool. I would enjoy that.
I mean, I think that would be amazing for StarCraft if that happens. But I actually think Rogue, if you look at Katowice, that was probably one of the first actual encounters of them playing against each other. I'm not actually sure if that's true or not. I could just be pulling something out of my butt, but I think this is probably one of the first times they ever played. Yeah, this could be a lazy narrative here. So, you know, saying that Rogue lost to Cyril is sure, but when Rogue looks at this bracket, he knows Cyril is getting through this. Like, yeah. I'm not counting Kelzer out, but there's like a 95 to 5% chance probably. Mm-hmm. So Rogue only has to play against Innovation. He probably has a ton of experience against Innovation. If he beats Inno, he knows he's playing Cyril. Yeah. He's going to be way better prepared for a best of 5 against Cyril, which is going to be, you know, way harder the second time. So if he can get through Rogue, I think he's set to make it to the finals. I think that's probably the hardest person there.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that.
So we'll have to see, but I think that'll probably be the biggest contention for him to not make it to the finals.
I'm curious how you guys think Scarlet's going to do, because I feel like Scarlet on Korean soil is like a different Scarlet than any one that we see at a WCS event.
Well, hang on. How you doing on time, Dan?
I'm going to go in 3 minutes.
Okay, so let's, before we get too deep in this, because I like the way we're going with this discussion, Dan, thank you for coming on. Thank you for talking about a slightly emotionally charged subject, and I'm sorry that we lost internet to the chat for the 15 seconds that Dan shined ever-living, glorious StarCraft knowledge.
I did really well, but what can I say?
You did a great job. So Dan, you're going off to cast tonight, right?
Yes.
How many rounds are you guys casting tonight?
We're doing the first 4 best of 5s.
Oh, that's it?
So yeah, that's it. And then tomorrow, the next 4 best of 5s. It all starts at 3 p.m. KST, so that's like 4.5 hours from now. I will be live with Roddy, Maynard, and good old Tassels.
So Time Bones himself.
Yeah, Time Bones. All right.
Thank you for stopping by. Everyone check it out. Dan, adios.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We'll give him a second. And then Cobra's already got these handsome pictures prepared. Okay, now, so you asked how Scarlet's going to do. That's exactly why we have Mr. No Regret here, the chief informant. How is she going to do, Jake?
I think despite classic Luna Raynor and GSL, he's very scary, especially in PvC. I think he's probably arguably the second or first best Protoss player in the world. And depending if you count like in the Korean scene, I will say he's probably the second or first best. And Sasha hasn't been looking insane lately. She's been playing a lot, which is to her credit. She doesn't actually do that often. Like when this is as like dedicated as I saw before Pyeongchang, so it's very possible that she does really well. Like this is the kind of thing where she's just like doesn't care at all, doesn't play at all, drops really heavily, and then she's like, you know what, it's time to come back, and then she like practices all day and then comes back up. It's like a roller coaster of like, this is why people say she's inconsistent, is because she does this. So she is on that path up, so it's very possible, but I think even at her best, it's hard. Classic is a very hard opponent.
That's fair.
And what's the general feeling in the house, too? Because there's a few other guys that are there, too, right? Like Neeb, you probably know how he's feeling against Dark, right?
And I mean, Neeb's been pretty... He's extremely hard to read when he speaks about it, because he's always the kind of guy like, well, no, I'm just going to lose. Like,
yeah.
I mean, he's a Zerg player, that's what he's telling me now. So I'm like, okay, that's great, Alex. Not a very good mindset, but sure. He hasn't been playing an insane amount. He said that this is his like vacation time, so I don't know why he says this. But he's been playing, don't get me wrong. Yeah. But he used to be the kind of guy who would just come sit down and play 14 hours a day straight. Like this was what he was like before. And he's getting into a more casual, relaxed practice style, and I think it can be beneficial if he uses it correctly. But I think the biggest thing here is Dark always seems to take Alex or Neeb in a way of, he kind of dictates the way the game works. Like he does something Ling run by, Baneling all in, whatever it may be, and then Alex is playing from behind every time. But the few times I've watched them play head to head with no like shenanigans, no advantages, Alex wins.
Yeah. So
I'm hoping, I've talked with him, and he knows that this is the issue, and I'm hoping he takes the game more passively. He looks for these tricks, these cards being pulled out of Dark's sleeves, and plays the late game and plays the long game against him because he looks so solid, so strong in the late game.
Well, what
So I
about
think it's
Special
very
having
possible.
a rematch against Haz? he got robbed, is what I feel like at Valencia, right?
Yeah. I mean, Special's always been a player who just like when you have time to prepare for something, he does so well. Like if he has more time, the problem with Special is when he's thrown into like a bracket with whoever, because he's the kind of guy who just sits down and practices all day, every day. Doesn't change up his style, plays himself well. But if he has time to prepare for someone like Haas, then he should never lose this, in my opinion.
And he's got 2 TVPs as well, right? Like the winner, if he makes it past Haz, he has stats, obviously.
Do you even consider Haas a normal Protoss player that anything he practices for Haas would even carry over?
Well, I think he's preparing for the next PvT, and he's just playing safely against Haas. Like, that is the plan.
He's not having one cannon rush him a whole bunch or doing that kind of stuff.
He's not calling up his practice partners and saying, hey, can you play like Haas? I think you have a pretty good understanding of how Haas is going to play. I don't think Haas is actually able to switch up his style as much as people think. Like, people are like, oh, he can play whatever, he's so good. But like realistically, when you get so specialized in something like this, and this is coming from someone who's also extremely cheesy, like it's not easy to break your style of play. So like even if he's gonna switch it up to like, oh, I'm gonna do a blink call in this game or whatever, like it's all in the same boat. Like he can only switch up his style so much. So I think as long as he looks at his last series really in depth, I think he can prepare very comfortably for Haas.
Okay.
And I don't think he should ever lose that best of 5.
Last question for you guys on this then, or last couple of questions. Your obvious favorite, and if you're both going to just say Maru, give me somebody else that you think could make it in there. And then I want you to give me your dark horse of the tournament. Who's going to make it the furthest that perhaps is not a favorite to win? Ravi?
Well, I'm going to say Maru because I'm lazy.
You're a clean
but my other person that I would say I think is going to do really, really well. I actually think that Classic can go really far. I want to believe in like my NA homeboys like Scarlet and Neeb, but Classic is really good, so we'll see.
That's a tough pick, man. His PvZ's rough. And if Dark beats Neeb.
But like the way that I look at it is Classic plays Scarlet, and based on what Jake is saying, seems like he's going to still be favored for that. And then if he can make it out versus the winner of Neeb versus Dark, like I think that's a pretty good run.
Then you would just have Rogue or Serral, the other 2 scariest Zergs on planet Earth.
Yeah, I don't think they're that bad. No.
I mean, the biggest thing here is PvZ is clearly the narrative for Classic. So as long as he's like one of these monsters of preparation too. So he's going to prepare for PvZ. He's going to be really scary.
My dark horse, though, this is going to sound so weird and stupid. I think that Kelazor isn't going to win versus Serral, but I think he's going to take like 1 or 2. I think he's going to take like 2 games versus Serral. That's my prediction.
Is there a lower bracket? There's not, right?
No. But the interesting thing was like it's deceiving because if you looked at Austin, Kelazor played versus Serral in like the first round of the playoffs and he got 3-0'd. But all of those games were like way closer than I thought they would be. So I'm like, I think he could take like a game or 2.
See
that's my dark horse prediction.
Robbie, that's why I asked these questions. You're bold. You're bold. Yeah.
I'm allowed to be bold with the dark horse prediction.
I agree.
Because otherwise it's not a dark horse prediction.
I agree. You're fucking nailing it. Jake, what do you got?
I think I want to say Maru is probably supposed to do really well, but at the same time, I think my dark horse prediction kind of contradicts who I think is going to do really well, and that's Showtime. Like Showtime's looking really scary on ladder right now, and as a player in Korea, and he's also bringing a different flavor of PvT than every generic Korean out there. And honestly, I don't think Maru is the most dominant PvT player on Earth. Like he doesn't just absolutely slap every Protoss he plays. So I think Showtime actually has a possible chance of upset. This is obviously a dark horse prediction. Obviously, it's not something I would guarantee, but I think it's possible.
That's sick.
And I would love to see it. So I'm hoping that happens. I think he's doing insanely well, obviously with his 6-0 result or whatever. I think we're talking about that later. But hopefully that happens. I think Maru is probably statistically supposed to be in the finals. But at the same time, that contradicts my dark horse prediction. So we'll see.
I like your prediction. I think the scary thing is that Zest is just so darn good PvP. And I mean, I know that Showtime's amazing. I'm not trying to say he's like the clear favorite, but everyone always discounts Zest, especially in PvP, and then he just kind of wins like every time. And then I think Zest gets absolutely dunked on by Mars, so it would just be kind of poopy that way. But I'd love it if Showtime can squeak past Zest, and then if he beat Maru, that'd be the hypest thing on the whole freaking planet. That'd be so sick.
It would be insane.
I would love that.
So I think he's like a very good dark horse prediction out of the squad.
My dark horse is Serral. I think he actually, and that sounds weird to say, but I actually think he will beat Kelzer, and then I think he can beat Rogue. I think ZVZ is a matchup where Serral excels at. Obviously, Korea's got just that different kind of thing, but also, that is where Rogue kind of loses, I feel, too. If he is going to lose, it's usually somewhere in that ballpark. And if he makes it past him, the strongest opponent down there is like if Classic is clearing house or Dark or Need, but I really feel like Serral could beat all those guys to make it to the finals. And I think that would be amazing. Imagine a Maru Serral finals, if you could, please.
Yeah, that would be insane.
Or even crazier.
I think I would love to see the viewership for Maru Serral finals. Like, it's going to be insane.
And then you know what? The lazy narratives are coming out. The hyperbole's coming out. You better fucking believe it. And it should be. So pretty hyped for that. You guys are so Jake, you guys are both going to be heading out to go attend that. You'll be in the audience, I assume, or helping out the players and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I have to cast KSL, but other than that, I will be there. Yeah.
Oh, it's a different studio. You're not going to be there. Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Who are you casting?
Everyone get Rapid.
Rapid. All right.
Rapid casting.
Keep him under. Stay on top of that guy. Sometimes the memes can get out pretty heavy.
A little bit.
Pretty hot and heavy.
A little bit.
All right, well, cool. So, guys, check out the GSL versus the World. It is going to go live in just a few hours here. It's going to be really, really fun. There's that promo video. Hashtag production. Cobra, you sexy son of a bitch. We can show
Is this the one with Dan as
Artosis
doctor or whatever?
Narrating?
I don't know. It's the old video, but that video of Scarlet looking over her collar is actually so fucking cool. They can use that for the next 20 years as far as I'm concerned. And here's the new one, I think.
I like the old one a lot more than the new one. The new one's a little bit...
Yeah. They need to take... Dude, the Serral picture at WCS where he's got like the red and he's looking down scary. Just show that. Mm-hmm. That's it. He's like literally a Sith Lord. It's so fucking badass. Anyways.
We should start painting the narrative that he's like the evil villain.
But that's the thing. He's like he's like the good guy for the foreigner scene at this event. But even though he's like the bad guy for the entire WCS
he's
circuit.
Our bad guy though, right? Like we're sending in the Terminator.
He's like our anti-hero now.
So you know how we were talking about lazy narratives? We should just give him false narratives.
False. Let's raise it up. I like that. Okay.
We'll keep the viewers on their toes because we're really respecting their intelligence level.
Oh, very good. So there's the schedule for you guys, and there's all the broadcasting. So that's GSL versus the World. We're going to go to our final subject here before we wrap it up with some This Week in StarCraft and questions. The last subject, though, is our Cheeseadelphia, which was how many? What number is this?
7.
What? There's been 7 of them?
Yeah, it's been going on for like 3 years or something now.
Damn. All right, well, Ravi, you just got back from it. You want to tell us about it? Tell us where it came from, what it is, and how it went?
Yeah, so for those who don't know, Cheeseadelphia is a LAN event that happens in Philadelphia, as the name would imply. It's a really, really awesome North American StarCraft LAN. Got a lot of really awesome people who show up. Jake never shows up, even though I bought him. Or just
I live in Korea, right?
Bought it spent it on ramen.
I live in Korea, right? Just saying.
But anyways, so it was a really, really fun event. This was the 7th one. Funny enough, this is actually the first one that didn't happen in Philadelphia. It happened in Chicago.
Oh my God, is it even at Cheeseadelphia then?
Yeah, I know.
Well, hang on, Reb. We got a clip here. We want to play some sound, I guess. Cobra's really excited about it, so.
Oh.
Let's play this.
Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, back to the shield battery. Oh,
jeez.
Hey guys, and welcome to another Cheeseadelphia edition of SC2 Top 5. Today I'm going to cover some of the most intense moments of this past weekend's events. In case you don't know, Cheeseadelphia 7 was presented by Nerd Street Gamers. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, back to the shield battery.
It was playing for me, but not you guys. Got it. Okay.
Hey guys, and welcome to another Cheeseadelphia edition of SC2 Top 5. Today I'm going to cover some of the most intense moments of this past weekend's events. In case you don't know, Cheeseadelphia 7 was presented by Nerd Street Gamers. This was their second consecutive event to feature a staggering $7,500 prize pool and featured a 96-man open bracket. The event was sponsored by Purple Seat Cushions, which had some hilarious ads to say the least. The event took place July 28th through 29th and was held at Nerd Street Gamers' new local host arena in Chicago, Illinois. While the reigning champion Neeb was not in attendance, there was plenty of talent there ready to take the crown. Cham, True, Puck, Silky, and Epic, just to name a few. Let's get into the list. Coming in at number 5 is a small part of Cheese that you might miss if you haven't been following the event. Gear Dragon and Tempo have been working on synchronizing their intro into the finals, and while it's not perfect yet, I think they've improved dramatically since last Cheeseadelphia back in January. What do you think?
Fear and Tempo in the finals,
Oh my
and
God.
we're back here at Cheeseadelphia 6, baby. It is the grand finals.
Look at that young,
Fear and Tempo
uncorrupted.
in the finals, and we're back.
Kwame.
In the Cheeseadelphia 7 grand
Analogy.
finals here live in Chicago, baby.
Tempo looks smaller.
Number
You look
4
bigger. How'd
features
that
a
happen?
negative side effect of trying to properly manage Crisis in your main base. While stacking drones on a
it's
single
funny because
mineral
I think
patch
WCS
saves them from
commentator, like, the
zerging
ego
for a short
just
time
grows.
as well.
Grows your head.
The
Yeah, you're right.
situation tends to be a perfect storm
Exactly.
for banelings.
No more spines, no more lings, and he just might be no more life.
He's trying to get out that spine, but they're in the building.
Oh my God.
Every single drone dies. True is advancing on to the grand
This is my
finals.
favorite strategy.
At number 3, we have Epic with the Korean barbecue of
I
epic
approve.
proportions. The look on Cham's face after the
my
roast
God.
says it all.
Jake, I cannot wait to
That
talk
was a
to
pretty
you
good
about
opener
that
from
finals.
Epic. That
Oh, he's
shouldn't
got
have
Hellions
happened.
again.
Oh
Oh,
no! All these Hellions are getting so many kills. Here's
Oh,
another
my
one.
God.
Line them up.
Lining him up, and that's 19 drones going down. Epic is in a fantastic position.
In second
We were
place is
blessed
the
with
exciting
so many,
conclusion
like,
to BioIce versus
amazing
M
moments.
Canning
Oh, this was
in an
amazing.
insane base trade. This clip, however, does not do this game or the series justice. I highly recommend giving that
Canning
whole
versus Cyrus
series a
is
watch.
insane.
That's a nice angle. He's going to go after the Nexus.
Look at their
I don't know if
supply.
it's going to be enough, though.
Nope, because the cannons, the Corruptor. I swear to God, he can
could-
do it.
He can recall.
Believe.
He can
No
recall.
way.
I don't even. Does he even need to right now?
How long
No
does Cosmic
fucking
Spray last
way.
for?
He recalls back, right?
Does he even
He didn't have recall. He didn't have enough
know.
energy.
Oh my God.
Can we get a shot of the Nexus really quickly?
The
Wanna see?
Nexus.
All right, it's still got. It's still got
Canning
its
doesn't have
shields.
enough for another
And
Nexus,
Canning
by the
actually
way.
has
Can he
enough
build a
time,
stalker?
enough, I think, maybe.
I don't
No, he
think
didn't have a
so.
Cyber Next core.
I believe
Oh,
that
no.
Canning should be able to kill the rest of the buildings, but
He
the
should.
cannons are going to be the real problem for BioIce. This is
My
so
favorite part is when he just, like, the Nexus is getting close to dying. He just warps into a fucking zealot. It's like,
He could have told the shield barriers to recharge too, but in a base
This
trade, it's
Corruptor's
like,
gonna
you know.
do it.
Yeah.
But on the other side,
Impossible
the drones
to
are
roll.
Shield
surrounding
batters
the
are
zealot that
depowered.
is
He
trying
needs
to
to
kill
repower.
Oh, they're
the
depowered, you're
He's
right.
microing
Yeah.
the sick micro!
Pylon
The
instead of the zealot would be
micro!
Loses 2
Yeah, right.
drones, and now he's got to rely on just the other. I think just the Void Ray to do everything.
The drone
here.
micro.
Yep, but
So you
the
can never kill the
Nexus
cannons,
goes
right?
down. M. Canning does not have enough to make another Nexus.
yeah, so what's not
This
shown
is
in this
insane.
clip
At the same
is
time,
that
BioIce
there were
wants to
like
get them
9
back
Hydras on
fighting.
like
He
a
cannot take
move
out those
command slash A
cannons.
move.
No, I mean, he
that
needs to
just
get
run
the
into
mining.
those
He's never
cannons
going to
and
get enough
die.
time.
Like,
No!
right
I
before-
believe that one
Really?
Corruptor that was able to take out
And those
that
would have been
Nexus.
enough to handle not only the cannons,
Nope,
but
the
also
Hydra is
like
dead.
the Void Ray that
Dead.
killed roughly 18 Broodlords. Like one Void Ray killed like 18 Broodlords.
No.
USA!
Crazy.
USA! USA!
So sad.
Wow.
And finally, we have what was one of the most hyped moments of the entire tournament, Game 5 of Epic vs. Cham on Darkness Sanctuary. With no observers to be had, Cham had to improvise against a ghost-heavy bio-army. Tempo and Penguin
I didn't know
absolutely
this was
lose
like a
it.
5-minute
Let's
video,
check
guys.
it out.
Forward
It
fire.
has no detection capability except for the spore
my
crawlers.
God. And
This is a throw in my
He's
opinion.
gonna try to engage it. He wants to clean this army up.
No,
You saw this?
Trying
nobody
to fight it
saw
on
this.
creep. He
Nobody
the
saw
highest
this.
army supply
This
he's
could be
had
it.
in a long
He's gonna do
time.
the sickest
So
sandwich
what?
of all time. Here it
Saw
goes. He
the-
can lift up into the
saw the
medevac.
spore crawler?
Here we
Yeah.
Splits are
go.
gonna come
Oh, he
out.
brought in the spores for
Goes
detection?
some splash damage.
Yeah.
Jam is doing what he can. Epic still
No, he
has the
didn't.
army supply
Or he
lead,
did?
but the
I don't
gap
know.
is
Yeah, he
closing.
did.
Epic.
But there's no detection.
No
I mean, I still
detection.
think
The
this
ghosts
was
are gonna reign
They're
supreme.
behind the
Is there a
medevacs.
spore? He's attacking.
Wait.
So nobody,
Oh, no.
like I
Wait,
was
I'm
sitting
really
there with
I'm
like,
confused too.
What's
20
the
other
attack?
players.
Where's the spores? Right there.
and nobody
Got the
saw
spore
this spore
crawler.
crawlers like walk in.
Oh my
and
God.
burn.
What?
What?
Man, it's pretty amazing when Zerg can bring in their stack defenses on the fly like
Oh
that.
my god! Oh my
God,
god!
my mind is blown.
Can you still call them
Are you
static at that
kidding
point?
me?
That's a good point.
He had them with his army.
He brought them
hockey.
there, and then he just
Still
engaged
lazy.
at the
Oh my
perfect
God.
spot. Cham, 6 bajillion IQ.
And those were what I thought were the 5 greatest moments from Cheeseadelphia
I mean, that was like
7.
one of the worst engagements you could have had too, to be honest. On creep, fully surrounded.
Yeah.
Well, he thought that the ghosts were totally like untouchable because he thought
Yeah.
there was no detection. Because
Only
he
had
sniped off all the overseers right before that.
I mean, even if he'd had no detection, he could have ran the banelings in and backed up, and he would have been fine.
He needs the no regret coaching. All right, we'll get him.
Yeah.
Listen, we'll get Cham to Korea. Or not Cham. That was epic, actually. Yeah, was a young guy, by the way. We're talking about him. The WCS isn't pretty cool. Well, hey, that was Cheeseadelphia, so number 7. Sorry, Robbie, we interrupted you, but that was some of the highlights. How was it for you as a commentator? And it was in Chicago, so did you get some deep dish pizza? But you can't eat pizza?
Oh, God, no. I hate deep dish pizza. It's terrible. It's not even a pizza. It's
it's
a pie.
just more cheese you can't have, I guess.
Yeah.
Wouldn't understand.
The event was really, really... It was a lot of fun. The kind of catch here is that it's a miracle that this event actually ended up happening with how many things went wrong 3 days before the event. I hope Joe doesn't mind, the guy who organizes Cheese doesn't mind me talking about some of the stuff, but literally so many things went wrong with I think there was stuff with the budget, there was stuff with, they were supposed to have a entire production crew that literally just was actually we can't do this now 2 days before the event or something. So they had to fly in people. There was a guy who was supposed to be at the Overwatch finals filming content. Wow. So instead he just comes to this to run production. All of the chairs were that was one of the complaints that a lot of players has, that the chairs were really shitty quality. And it's because an organization. What?
Am I going crazy? I hear snoring.
Yeah, that's my dog, Harrison.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But all the chairs, they were supposed to get all of them supplied by some office company, and the office company just literally just stopped responding entirely.
Oh, nice.
A few days before the event. So they had to come up with some other shitty solution for that. There was so many problems with this event, but it all still went off, and there was no stream delays or anything. It was actually a miracle that they were able to pull it off. Huh?
Who puts on Cheeseadelphia?
Joe, it's Nerd Street Gamers, and the guy who kind of owns it on Nerd Street Gamers is Joe Laguitas.
Okay. Oh, okay. I know that name. We'll try to get him on.
Nerd Street Gamers also owns me too.
Oh,
so
fair enough. Are they a good master or?
Yeah, they're pretty good. I like them. They treat me well.
I mean, I guess you kind of have to say that, right? But no, that's really awesome. They've done 7. I think one of the funniest things that is a story that hopefully we'll get to tell is it is so hard to put on events anyways. Just all that shit. I love that you just said that a company just stopped responding. That's just totally what happens when you run an event like that. It's just somebody will be like, yeah, we'll do this thing, and then you're like, cool, and you're like, yeah. Excuse me, we need you. And I would have gone full savage on him. I don't know if he did, but I would have put that company on blast, Yelp review. I think
the ironic part is that, God, I hope that Joe doesn't hate me for talking so much about this, but
do it.
I think that Nerd Street Gamers, for those who don't know, actually is also pretty involved in the CS:GO scene, and they actually run some pretty decent sized CS:GO events as well. But I think that they use a lot of those same people for those events as well as fighting game events and everything else. So I think that they don't want to totally burn that bridge by just being hey, everybody, fuck those guys, and then by the way, about those chairs for next weekend.
I mean, that's the smarter way to do it, but I'm the guy that'll be holding the banner and Jeff, you could leave right here. It'll be totally safe. And I'll be no, I must go down with the ship. That's the thing. Well, that's really cool though. So it's a pseudo grassroots thing that's becoming something more regular. How was there a live audience or anything like that? Could people come and watch?
Yeah. So the interesting and cool thing that I like about Cheeseadelphia is that it's got that, I think, more old school LAN feel, where it's not here are this massive audience of 500, 800,000 people or something that are all sitting there, and then the players are in their player pit and sectioned off and stuff. It's super open. Everyone just kind of hangs out. There's a bunch of people who came in who are no offense, not very good at the game or anything, but they just go there to spectate and stuff. And it's really, really nice for them because they just get to hang out and talk with players. Last Cheeseadelphia was really cool for a lot of people because they get to hang out with Neeb and just go out to dinner with him and that kind of stuff. So it's a really, really chill atmosphere.
It's pre-corporate MLG, you know?
Yeah, it's got all those really cool vibes of the old school stuff, which is something I really love about Cheeseadelphia. And also The players are all super duper chill. We were blessed with amazingly good games. Like there were so many good series that were not amazing because they were GSL level play, but because it's like the full NA thing. Like
You could easily say it was
my
the
God.
best Cheeseadelphia ever.
in terms of
Like very easily, in my opinion. That is
I'm
a call
writing
I
the
would
article
make.
about you right now, Norga. This is outrageous.
actually like something that I think Jake would love to talk about was like the finals also was like the most full NA thing I've ever seen from our Korean taste or True.
Yeah.
He just pulls out like the weirdest shit versus Cham. Like he goes for a 14 hatch, 15 pool, 16 gas,
Ling
or
flood?
15 gas, 16 pool, and then just Ling floods on Darkness Sanctuary. Like
Yeah, it's smart.
you're-
It's actually
he's
really
basically
smart.
one base all inning, but he goes for the 14 hatch to like throw Cham off because he'll scout a hatchery at a normal time. But then Cham never scouts the hatchery and he goes 3 hatch before pool. There was like
Really?
other moments where True floods out non-stop Lings against Cham, and Cham has like 7 evolution chambers as a wall and 5 roaches and 2 queens behind it at like the 4-minute mark. And True just keeps attacking the wall until he breaks it and then he wins. It's
That's
like,
what you get with True, though, man. That's every,
it's like one of the most surreal things, though. It was hilarious. It was awesome.
Yeah,
It made no
sounds like a fun time. Hopefully I get out to one of them as I'm representing them, so would make sense.
That's right.
But
Maybe
we'll
your
see.
masters can send you out there.
That's what I'm hoping.
Well, that's really cool, Ravi. Do you know if they have any plans? Have they announced future events or anything like that?
Yeah,
or-
so I mentioned that this was the first event that they did outside of Philadelphia. The next one is planned to be in Washington, D.C.,
Ooh.
which should be pretty interesting. And that is going to actually be bumped up price pool to $10,000. So this is like their kind of big season finale for the year. It was like supposed to be a circuit of 3 events.
Do you know what the date is for that?
I don't think that they know the date exactly, but I imagine it's probably going to be sometime after BlizzCon.
Okay.
I think that they were aiming for somewhere around November. So if you're in that East Coast area, go check it out.
Well, I'll tell you what.
It's going to be a fun time.
If it's a time that I can do it, I'll send myself out there. It'd be fun to play. That'd be cool to.
Yeah.
Every time that picture of seeing people compete on stage got me inspired. Not that I would even make it that far. We'll see how good Dark Temple can do. I'm gonna be hot in the meta by then. Well, hey, thank you for the feedback there, and of course, everyone check that out. I think, do they have a website or something, Ravi? I know that Cobra had that pulled up a second ago.
NerdStreetGamers.com probably.
NerdStreetGamers.com.
You should just
be
follow
honest-
them on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's probably the best.
It's like nsg.gg or something.
Okay.
And it's NerdStreetGamers.com. Thank you, Ravi.
He nailed it.
Okay.
First try. Well, check it out, guys. They put on some good stuff out there, and I think we talked about this in one of our earlier episodes, but just the idea of putting on lands and attending it and that magic. I mean, if you're about that, get your butt out there, watch it, check out the stream. There's ways to help, and there's ways to make that possible without having to spend a lot of money. But that's why I think I'll try to send myself out there. I want to support that. I want to do something. And then when I go there, I'll just paint like Artos's face on my chest, and we'll get to the top of Reddit, and we'll do what we can. That's not a promise, by the way. That part can't happen. I'll get banned. But that's our topic. So thank you guys, all of you guys. Great discussion. We're now going to get into perhaps my favorite part of the Pylon Show, and that's where we talk a little bit about what's going on in StarCraft real quick, and then we're going to get into some questions. It's on our Discord. If you join our Discord, it's the Pylon Show Discord. You can talk about StarCraft topics in there. You can worship the celebrities like No Regret and Fear Dragon, who have their own little cults going on in there. And then we'll get into the Patreon-specific questions. Zenny, by the way, in chat is just losing his shit because my dog is snoring. I'll tell you what, man. If there was any way for me to make him snore harder, I would do it.
You just gotta mic him up, man.
What's that?
You gotta mic him up, and then you gotta get like a mute. You just keep it on mute, and when people complain about it, you unmute it.
Oh my god, have like his own personal mic. Where is it?
Yeah.
I'm trying to show him. Let's see.
That's a bone.
That's my crotch. No, he's. Well, I can't do it. He's off camera. Anyways, that's my dog, dude. He's gonna snore sometimes. So this week in StarCraft, Cobra's got to pull that up though, I think, because I don't. Okay, Team Liquid map contest. Now this had a funny clip. I don't think we have this live, but if you go to really DeMuslim's Twitter or Lambo, Soul played against Lambo in this, and it's a pretty amazing clip. Sometimes these maps have their own static defense in it, and I guess he thought it was a joke because they like warned him. They're like, "Hey, there's missile turrets in there between your two bases." This guy loaded up 2 medevacs and flew them right into the turrets and lost both the medevacs. And there's
And then
my
just
favorite.
instantly left.
Yeah, he left, but there's that. You all know this. I'm sure Jake knows this really well. There's that pause where something like that happens, and then you know they're either typing or they're just sitting there thinking about it. And he was doing both, as it turns out. Well, we have the clip.
Themselves up to just loading up with these
Wardy's
Marines.
laugh, by the way,
See a
makes
little
this
bit
whole
of pressure
thing.
coming through. A very sound step so far. No soul, no soul, 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 no soul, soul.
A little bit choppy for some reason. Oh, we're losing kilobits. Cobra, we can't do this stuff, man.
We don't have the technology.
We have the technology, we don't have the bandwidth for it now, I guess. But someone do me a favor and take Wardy's laugh, like tear. This is something Fear Dragon can do probably. Tear his laugh out of that, put it on a loop for like 10 hours, and make a YouTube video of that, because I could die to that soundtrack. It is so. So yeah,
All right,
sorry.
so I'm going to hit my time watch for YouTube partnership again.
Yes, that's right. I will watch it. I'll watch it over and over again. Sorry, guys. Yeah, the bandwidth got some combination of like when we have a clip playing here and a clip playing there, and my poor computer's like, no, Jeff, we can't do it, and then it dies. But yeah, the Team Liquid map contest is going on. They're trying out some new maps. They're getting weirder and weirder. I saw the pro gamers kind of saying that it's like, well, this batch is a little bit weird. But that's what they want. They want some different maps. Did you guys check it out at all?
I saw that Blizzard released their next map pool without the TLMC map or like the Liquid map contest happening. Like, is that not strange to anybody else? I don't know what happened there, but
I think it usually does. Like we do usually have some maps that are announced before that map contest comes out. And what I heard from Ollie, I think, was that these are all maps that were in the last map contest or something along those lines. So it's like one further back. But what gets weird is if that's the case, then this is like the current Team Liquid map contest is judging for 2019, where we don't know. The past 2 years, we've had these like massive balance patches. So if they're judging things based on that, and then we have like everything just turn on its head in like half a year, that's super weird.
I mean, like, changes as large as like removing the mothership are changes that require maps to be changed. You know what I mean? Like we saw a difference in like Reaper jump spots because of stuff like that. So like, it does seem strange. I don't see how it could possibly stay the same, like the maps, if the balance changes are near the same as they were last year.
Maynard is saying in the chat that he heard from Blizzard that the maps are from the last TLMC, and they want to test them to make sure they're good because they're going to be BlizzCon maps.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against testing maps. Just seems strange that they announced the map contest and the map pool at the same time. It's like, okay, but it's whatever. Because usually they pull a couple of current map tests, maps for the current ladder pool, but it's whatever. I don't think anybody's doing it wrong.
Next up on This Week in StarCraft, we had Bly and Scarlet leave Team Expert. Scarlet. All right, Robbie. Oh, you're waving at somebody. Okay.
I was waving at Sasha or Scarlet.
They were talking about your team. Hashtag Let's Roar,
Is she
guys,
wearing
am I
Red
right?
Bull right now? Does she have any Red Bull paraphernalia on?
She's wearing a WESG shirt.
Oh my God, these pro gamers. Ugh. Anyways, Scarlet's sponsored by Red Bull, as I understand it.
Oh, was that officially announced?
Somebody on Reddit said it, anyways, right? Tolan's
Red Bull?
Lions.
Red Bull Scarlet? She said no.
You know what? I'm announcing it on my show right now, so it might as well be the fact.
She's denying Red Bull.
It's Monster then. Everyone, Scarlet's sponsored by Reddit. Or Monster. To the top of Reddit with all of you. Anyway, she's on a new team. It's the Tolan's Lions. It's her and Bly, right? Her and Bly?
Yeah. Her, okay. Bly. I heard, do you know anybody else on the team? Just Bly, that's it? You don't know about like MMA or those other people? Just per and Bly, I guess. I don't know.
All right. Well,
I mean, the real question is, why isn't that team sponsored by AFKT, which I think is available on a wonderful Matcherino page, actually, if you guys are interested in learning more about that.
look at this guy. That's why we keep having him come back on. He's the best. Yeah, so that's really exciting news. I feel like anytime a pro gamer leaves one team in this kind of, in the StarCraft world right now, there's a little moment of an inhale and kind of scared. There's not necessarily that many teams out there shopping for StarCraft 2 players, but there are some teams, and that's fantastic. So congrats.
Honestly, right now, I feel like it's in a really good spot.
Yeah.
Like we see new teams coming in a lot to pick up these players that are leaving teams. If you asked me or said the same thing like a year or two ago, I'd say no, he's just never getting a new team. Like it's not happening. But you see like the top players are being picked up by newer and newer teams, so it's really cool. We see League of Legends teams venturing into StarCraft. I know about some cool teams that I can't talk about, but there's like it's definitely coming. Like there's more stuff coming.
Very cool. That's exciting to hear. Things are on the up and up in StarCraft land, folks. What do we got next? Okay, so we already talked about that, Cobra. We don't need to do that one. He has the tweet from Showtime, who beat on some Koreans. We know that. The Gosu crew. Oh, hey, look at that. Mr. Jake helped them with a video.
Yeah.
Tell me about this, Jake.
So I helped them sign Classic. Like I was like the translator, not me personally, but I was like the contact between the two.
Oh, cool.
And then they asked us to do one of our like traditional like player spotlight videos for Classic. So we did one of those for their announcement or whatever. It was really cool. But yeah, I worked a lot with them.
And here's the
They
video.
may sign another player too.
Let's see if Cobra slaughters the bandwidth, but so far it's holding steady. Hold! Look at fucking Classic, man. This guy.
Yeah, it was just a good day.
Oh,
We
there's
spent a
Jake.
full day filming and stuff with him.
And he's saying right now, In Control is my favorite commentator. He's completely unbiased and fair. Well, that's cool. Do you know anything about the Gosu crew? You said they might be signing other people, but where know anything about them at all?
They're mostly like a Gears of War and Halo team, but they said they started with StarCraft coming. I guess the Gosu name is mostly just a StarCraft term, so makes sense. But yeah, they've been outside of the StarCraft scene for many years, and now they're coming to sign new players. I guess they see the potential in StarCraft too, so it's good for us, good for everyone. More teams, the better.
Yeah.
But yeah, as soon as they reached out to me, I was like, of course I can help. Like, I just want to make sure we can get as many people on teams as possible. So
Yeah, you are the mother hen of Korea at this point in time. Is this very good? All right, what do we got next, Cobra? I think we're running out of topics on This Week in StarCraft. I know that I think there was a pizza tournament clarification I saw. Hang on, Cobra pulls these things up, and then the Shinhan Tank Pro League continues. My Team Media, I think. There it is. I'm taking on some guys. I'll play in one of these eventually, but I keep playing
Actually,
some
it's listed
StarCraft.
it's listed on this doc as Artosis' team.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm on the team, dude. I don't mean it's
I know.
mine. Look at you.
There's a joke about who owns the team.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. So that continues to go on. I think it's Quix, QIKZ, that puts this on, so make sure to check them out. You can always kind of look at the sidebar on Team Liquid. A lot of Brood War going on, which is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of Brood War. I mean, I somehow got thrown into casting Brood War. I like my Brood War knowledge is not top-notch stuff,
How
But
hard can it be?
I've been loving it. What?
StarCraft, am I right, chat?
Yeah.
That's all basically
I mean,
the
here's
same.
the thing, Jake. If you don't have a production tab, it's not like the viewers really know what's going on either. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
I mean,
in
they
the
can't really call
territory
you
where
out.
like I have to say in my head, it's not a stalker, it's a dragoon. It's not a stalker,
Well,
it's a dragoon.
my
like,
mind gets so
because
broken
I've-
every time.
Yeah, I've played 8 years of StarCraft 2. It's hard for me to
Spider
just
Mines
like,
or Widow Mines.
yeah. Well, that's not. That would be scary if we had Widow Mines or Spider Mines in StarCraft 2. Jesus, could you
All right.
imagine?
Really quickly, Cranky Ducklings has the Sea Duckling Open number 34 happening this Friday, 7 p.m. Korea time. You can check them out on Cranky Ducklings, the Twitter. And you can join and play some Brood War over there. Here is the... Is it Brood War? Or is it StarCraft 2? I didn't see that part.
I think it's
Probably StarCraft 2. Bronze to Diamond.
Yep, it is StarCraft 2. My bad. The Cranky Duckling, number 34. So check that out. And then Cobra, I think we have one more, do we? Or if not, that's okay too. One more. Top tier practice. If you are looking for a StarCraft 2 community-focused Discord server, top tier practice could be a good resource for you. Providing StarCraft 2 focused practice, coaching, discussion, and more. We strive to create a place where players no longer have to feel the isolation from the ladder, as we welcome players from around the world, no matter your rank or region. The link is there. How do we get that link to people? I think Cobra put it in the chat. There it is. So if you're into some
Check
practice,
in the mail for that one.
is my checking? No, we do this. This is a service, man.
Oh, it's a service.
Anybody wants to talk about what they're doing in the StarCraft world? You message us in our Discord and we'll talk about it. I mean, for fuck's sakes, the Cranky Ducklings. I mean, we'll talk about anything. All right. That's it for this week in StarCraft. Some updates that I'm looking at here from Cobra. Plans for the Match Arena Prize show matches are underway, so we're still working on that. Cobra's obviously doing, or not Cobra, excuse me. Dan Artosis is doing GSL versus the World. So sometime after that, we'll finally do it. It looks like we are going to be partnered with Match Arena for another round here. So they've been awesome, and we love them, and we'll keep it going.
What's going on over there?
This guy.
I'm worried.
Can you get my dog to stop snoring, and can you get that Swedish
Can
boy?
I get the pro gamers to shut up?
Jeez Louise. You guys call yourselves professional even. So before we get into the questions, I do want to thank our supporters real quick. Speaking of pro gamers and whatnot. So here's Matcherino. We have started a new thing of a mobobber here. I saw some guys tweeting us the picture of the Artosis Moon shirt. Thank you to those of you that bought that. I know that we have the Artosis sombrero mug. I love that we're just memifying Artosis. I'm totally okay with that. If that's all this show ever ends up doing is just solidifying his place in history as just a weird guy, then, I mean, my job is done. That's completely fine. But you can buy these things. A certain portion of that goes to the show, and the other portion of that goes to Matcherino and lets them know that partnering with us is a awesome thing. So the word for this week is raspberry. Because it's Raspberry Cream Pie Day, Cobra? Is that what we got? That's it? Oh my god, he just nodded with the browser. Okay, well, it's raspberry, which is spelled raspberry, but nobody says that. Do they say that in Canada, Jake?
No.
They say raspberry, don't they?
Yeah, they say raspberry.
The P's silent.
Yeah.
Let that be a lesson for
Gotta
all of
love
you.
English.
Anyways, thank you. Matcherino's awesome. Anything you buy through there, make sure to take a picture of that, throw it at us. If you want to get on that Soylent hype train or some of that stuff, that's fantastic. And then our other partner is AFKT, put on by Mr. Lycan, who you might see in the chat, a former show host himself and an awesome StarCraft guy. We haven't sampled this tea yet, so if you taste it and it is actually the innards of someone's butthole, I apologize ahead of time. We'll, of course, do the necessary thing and have Lycan arrested. But I assume it's really good tea. You guys tea drinkers or coffee? Anybody here?
I drink a lot of tea.
You're a tea guy?
I like coffee.
You a black
But I'll drink
coffee
tea.
kind of guy like Jake, or what do you?
One
do?
cream, you know?
One cream.
Not completely black.
I think I would
like
be
sugar.
a coffee drinker, but I would have like 3 sugars and 3 creams, and then it's not even a coffee anymore, so I can't.
Yeah,
And also
that's just
that'd be-
milk with coffee flavor.
And it's diabetes. Because you
Producer's note here. He sent me some golden leaf. This stuff
Oh.
is amazing. I can confirm it's not some
Think-
thing
It's not
weird.
butthole?
It is actually good. It's not butthole.
Well, it
It's
could
actually-
be. Still, to be fair, it could be just amazing butthole. We don't know.
Well, then it's amazing butthole. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Fair enough. All right, so he's had some golden leaf, and I think some is on its way to Artosis as well. I unfortunately do not drink tea or coffee. I inject Monster directly intravenous into my body through a catheter attached to my penis. So
Nice.
no, that would be terrible.
Sounds efficient.
Don't anybody do that, by the way. That'd probably kill you. And if not, then it would do. I don't know what it would do, but let's never
Endorsed by
find
the
out.
Pilon Show.
Let's never find out. So we're gonna go to the Discord Q&A now, and then we'll Those are our partners. You guys should check it out. We're going to open this up here. So let's start with the Patreon-specific ones, Cobra. And there's a lot, by the way. I'll try to throw this out to our lovely friends here. I'll take over, Cobra. Let me navigate this because there was some spicy. Can I just say that I love some of our Patreon guys? They ain't going to take no shit from In Control. And I like that. I'm like, all right, cool. It's not quite a love-hate relationship. It's more of a, like, guarded. I don't know. I liked it a lot. And I missed someone's question, so I'm going to try to find it here. Here it is. Okay. So there's a lot. We got a lot of Patreons, and they're asking a lot of questions. They're curious kittens here, so bear with me. I'm going to ask this to you guys first. So first, Steve Gazzola says, first off, I just want to say thanks for the great show. It got me back into StarCraft 2 again after 4 years. I got some questions. The first is, how do you see Terrans dealing with this Mass Bane Mutastrat that is coming out from Zergs? As a Terran, I have no idea how to deal with it. If you add more tanks, Marauders, they can't deal with the mutas. What do you guys think? My second question is, what do you guys think of a strategy segment on the show talking about current meta and whatnot? And lastly, which is a third question, which you did not listen here, Steve. And lastly, for Artosis, yeah, he did. It's the bonus one. Is Keen the new Clyde? Thanks for all the hard work. Guys, Ling, Bane, Muta, ZBT. What do you do about it?
Widow Mines. It's pretty easy.
The
The old playstyle that we used to play, like Ling Bane Muta was completely standard and Heavy Banes were completely standard, but it's just like the way the meta's working out right now, where you want to rush Ghosts to like deal with the Ling Bane Hydra like late game. Favors really well into Mass Bane, but I think we can all agree Widow Mines are pretty good against Banelings. You just need to get a good amount of them out. You have to be able to use them well, but I think it's a pretty solid counter. Sasha?
Oh, wow.
Sasha? Mass Banelings. Widow Mines are good, right? What?
She's one of the most reliable sources.
Widow Mines and tanks, both. Yeah. What? Yeah. Tanks and Widow Mines.
Tanks and Widow Mines.
Confirmed. I know I'm not wrong now.
There you go. That's all of it. Fear Dragon, you're going to get the second question. What do you think about a strategy segment on the show talking about the current meta and whatnot?
I think it'd be great, but would Dan be able to keep it up for more than 3 episodes?
Absolutely not. He only knows lazy narratives. And we can't ask your last question because Artosis is currently on a sub-train somewhere trying to get his ass to GSL versus the world. But you can definitely repost that last part whenever you want. The serious answer to your thing about a segment on the current meta, the bottom line is the nice thing about our format is we definitely can. And I think we talk about the meta quite often, so we don't need a segment necessarily. We just kind of talk about whatever's relevant in the scene. But hey, I appreciate your feedback. Phoenix, question. Hey guys, great show. Thanks for the content and lols. I'm wondering why we haven't had Tasteless on the show yet. Is he too busy handling his own epicness? I think he's joking. I hope so anyways, because I went on a rant about that. Also, a question to Artosis. Oh. Blanker asked, with Mr. Bitter making an appearance and sorry, Phoenix, I can't ask your question because Artosis is not here. Tasteless, we've asked to come on the show. He's just not interested right now. Fair enough. We'll get him later. We'll always get him. With Mr. Bitter making an appearance at Home Story Cup along with the returning older players in the GSL, do you think it would be worth it to have some retired players, casters, or guys who have moved on to other jobs in esports to make appearances at WCS, DreamHack, even BlizzCon, to tell their stories and their view on StarCraft from the outside? Fear Dragon, instead of hiring you, would you like to see Husky StarCraft at WCS?
I mean, absolutely. He definitely knows the most about the game compared to me. I mean, all I hear is about complaints that I don't know the game, so it'll basically be the same thing, but a better commentator.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's... I mean, people also have to remember that a lot of these people are actually doing other things with their lives now, so they might not want to come. Like, I think Husky is like running Rosanna Pansino's YouTube channel.
Yep.
Which is, I think, hit like 10 million subs or something.
Like, on a side note, I think it would be a great novelty to see Husky, cast a Stark. Like, even if he's wrong, or even if who the fuck cares? If he's not understanding the meta, that's fine. As a novelty, I think it'd be cool. Any of them. Day 9, whoever, bring them back. Idra, I don't care. Like, all those people, I think it would be good for StarCraft regardless. But obviously, they're just busy. They have their own shit. Like,
let's crowdfund it, Jake. Let's just start up
make it happen.
Kickstarter.
That's too much work for me. Okay, I'm busy with the Koreans.
No, I think that's actually the cool thing about the Home Story Cup format is that that's perfect for people who are moved on and detached from the scene to come back, and it's totally great because it's so chill. I think for a WCS broadcast, it'd be really weird to have somebody that has done nothing in StarCraft for like 6 or 7 years and then just be like, here they are. I agree with Jake, it would be a novelty.
Like,
or one cast, or do they appear on the panel?
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's hard to make that happen too because it's like, if we do a WCS at LA or something, cool, but you're not going to fly out Husky to fucking Valencia and be like, can you show up for 10 minutes? Because he's like, sure, but pay me $20,000, and everybody would be like, what about your passion? Can you just show up anyways? And I'll be like, no.
So what you're saying, Jeff, is that Husky should commentate the finals of WCS Challenger.
Yeah, I mean, even then, I think I always like. I mean, it's an innocent question and stuff. I just like it because it's like, I think people don't think of the other side of these things. They're like, is there any way we can get HD StarCraft to come? It's like, yes. You have to pay them a lot, and they actually even then might still say no because the last thing they want to do is be on camera where people are like, over to you, and he's like, I don't know what's going on at all, and everyone's like, wow, I hate this guy. Like, anyways, that stuff just never happens. Just Tim. Hey guys, thank you so much for the refreshing take, and I don't read these guys, by the way, guys, until I've read some of them. Thank you so much for the refreshing take on StarCraft 2. I find your insights behind the scene, including the business point of view you bring to the table, very valuable. Following the professional scene for a long, long time, I find incredible joy in observing the ever-developing professionalization of the broadcast, from long late-night bedroom streaming to studio settings, role diversification, analytic desk, etc. Dedicating as much time and effort into learning about the human physiology. Hang on.
Is this a question or
just Tim? You are
a life story.
I like it. This keeps going. Here we go, boys. We're on a ride. If you're a Patreon, I'll answer any question you write. Here we go. Relating to optimal health as you put into esports. I know that sounds crazy. I was just wondering if you had any insight about how players are trying to perform at their best. How do they optimize cognitive function and maintain it? Do they use tools like nutrition, meditation, cold heat, exposure, exercise, fasting, sleep optimization, supplementation? Or do they just use the secret because of the competitive advantage? I know that most people are unaware of the epigenetic microbial, neurological, or hormonal effects these things evoke. But I assume that you must work with the best to be your best. Thank you so much for your time. Keep up the great work. P.S. Do you have any suggestions to whom I could contact if I want to contribute to the growth of this amazing scene? Let me answer this in reverse fashion, and then I'm going to turn over to Jake because he knows all the inside secrets about the microbial advantages that pro gamers are taking right now. If you're looking to help contribute to the scene, watch stuff. Follow stuff. Sub to stuff if you got the dough, okay? And then, share stuff. Like, it's a lot of social media, whatnot. But in terms of, like, how you can really get in there and help, that's the beginnings. Now, Jake...
Just be a member of the community. That's right. Good stuff for everybody. So, I don't really understand the microbials or whatever, but...
I have no idea.
I think most pro gamers here don't have insane regimens. Like, our building has a gym, and I made sure that we had something like that for the people who prefer that kind of thing. And it's a great asset for this building. It's one of the reasons why I picked it. But everyone has their own regimen. Everyone has their own benefits of like what they want to do. Some people like coffee. Some people don't. Some people like to go for a run. Some people like to not eat before tournaments. Some people eat before tournaments. I think it's your own condition is what you're trying to evaluate. And you just kind of want to, everyone's different for that kind of thing. Some people get drowsy after they eat, so they won't eat before tournaments. Or some people feel drowsy if they don't eat, so they'll eat before tournament. Like, this is the kind of stuff. There's no like standard, no one's taking pills or anything.
Something Jake said earlier that I thought was really cool, and we could actually do a whole show on this, and maybe someday we will. But Jake talked about how for some players, they're either a 14-hour grinder or sometimes they take some time off. That's actually a huge find that I found. We had a huge problem in EG House where people were just kind of sitting and just playing, but not really diversifying and like doing things like eating right, sleeping well, going to the gym. But then also how you play. Like if you just play the game for 14 hours, that can burn you out. It can instill bad habits. It's not actually the best way.
It can actually make you play worse.
It can
like you think, oh, he's practicing. Like
Yeah.
The thing is, mechanics don't these people are almost all perfect in mechanics decision making. It's about the way they think, the critical thinking, and like strategy. That's the more important part for some of these players. Like they actually are strategically fine. Like it comes down to like build orders and decision making. And when you think about how do you improve that, it's not by playing more. Like you should play, don't get me wrong, you should keep your mechanics to where they are, but actually like critically thinking about your losses, critically thinking about how you could have improved this game or whatever, that's way more important than your mechanics.
There's a really cool mix between different types of players too, that like how much they'll play versus how much they'll just watch, and like going to what you're talking about, Jake.
Yeah.
I think their players are starting to get better about it, but from players that I talk to, at least like the foreign players, I think there's still a lot of room for improvement on it.
There's a fuck ton of room for improvement. Like some of these guys are actually just bricks when it comes to like preparing for your opponents and stuff. Like I was talking to Alex and I'm like, if you're in the BlizzCon finals against someone, would you prefer to prepare yourself or prepare for them? And he says like, I'd prepare for myself. And I'm like, I think it's like a good split. You should have a split always, like of preparing for the other person. And like, his argument is like, well, they're gonna just change the way they play or whatever. But I'm like, no. Like to some extent that's true, but you can't change everything. So there's a fine balance of like that kind of thing. And I think in general, it's always good to explore your opponents.
This was
like,
actually...
even if you think they're gonna change, there's openings.
Sorry, Jake. Yeah.
Yes. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say this is a fantastic question, just him. It just sounds like you're a hell of a lot smarter than all of us. So we're not going to be able to answer this quite on the level I think you want. But I like the idea of talking about the different ways programmers prepare. And I think if you guys all keep it fresh on your mind, we can do a later show down the road where we have Jake, Scarlett, some of these people on here to talk about that. Because there are very different approaches. And I would tell you that some of it has worked and a lot of it has not worked, right? Like I think that's even what you were touching on with Scarlett, where sometimes she's not really motivated. And other times she's really, really motivated. It's different. Okay, Max asks, this is in parentheses, so I don't know what to do with that, but we'll just read it out. I guess you will talk about esports in Olympia, so this might be something you already talked about, in which case I will generously... we already answered that one. Some of these we answered. Before in control Toast and Neuro, yep, this is from last week, but I think I didn't answer it, and Zach was, I think, upset about this. I'll just ask you guys this question. What were some of the old... No, we did the username one. Hang on. Do you guys think the StarCraft 2 scene is sustainable with the current number of tournaments?
Yeah, yes. There's so many tournaments right now.
Yeah.
I think we're more than stable. For the pro players are making good money, guys. Like, no one's starving here if you're good.
Are they now?
Yes.
Are they now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Counterpoints.
I mean, like, if you're talking about the mid-tier,
if you go look at like top 16, so this goes actually back to the whole challenger argument about all the Europeans on Twitter saying that they want a different challenger format. Okay. But like, if you look at like top 16 players in Europe, and like I think that there are at least like 35 or 40 full-time European players. Like top 16, some of them are making like $6,000 or $5,000 a year.
Yeah, well, they should get better at the game then.
Jake, like, really get good. Get good, Jake.
Here's the thing. I want to talk about it.
If only Showtime was better, you can make it a challenge.
So we were talking about the amount of tournaments, right? If we add more tournaments, who are going to be the people winning them? Is it going to be these top 16 players? You say we have to have tournaments with specific.
So I don't think it's just like tournaments. I think we need more like of the local S tournaments. And from what I understand, I was talking to Thermal about this at Austin, but like there used to be a lot more of the local events like per country or whatever in Europe a lot, like back, like I don't know, some years ago.
Europe's still like good. They got esports SM, they've got the underdogs, they've got all the they all have their local tournaments, like kind of like Cheeseadelphia, if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, I like those from at least talking to you, Thermal. It sounds like a lot of them don't exist anymore though. Like it used to be super healthy, and now it's a lot less so.
But at the same time, these people that are going to be winning these tournaments are already doing fine in StarCraft. These are always the top 8 people. Like, for example, if we host a Toronto LAN right now, who do you think is going to win it? Scarlett.
Okay, would you consider, for example,
if we host a New York LAN, who do you think is going to win it? Neeb. He's got 300K. Like, all these people are Harstem does fine financially.
Harstem got like $8,000 last year. That's all he won.
I mean... adding more tournaments locally is not gonna help. There is my point.
I don't think it's that simple. I don't think it's just like just add more tournaments locally. But like
okay, wait, I just want to go back. The question was, do we think StarCraft is sustainable with the amount of tournaments we have? Right.
I think it's sustainable.
My answer was yes. That the top programmers are still making enough money to justify it. The mid-tier programmers are probably making enough money to justify it. The bottom tier it's questionable. I don't agree they are making enough, but what are we going to do? Salary all of them? I think these players just have to get better. Like that's it. Get better or leave the game. Like there's nothing else I can say about that. Like I know it sucks.
Wow.
You have to adjust though. Like you have to get better if you want to make the money. That's the whole point of aspiring to be a good pro gamer, right?
I'm with you on
anyone
that.
can do it.
My only disagreement is that I don't think the mid-tier players are doing okay. And I feel like we're actually seeing a lot of Europeans talk about that right now. That's like a very hot topic, I feel like, with all the challenger stuff.
I think mid-tier players, if they want more money, they can get it. Mid-tier players have enough exposure to run a stream, to do this kind of stuff. Like you have to go out of your way to do this kind of stuff. You either have to go out of your way to be the best pro gamer you can be, or go out of your way to be the best personality you can be. Like you have to go out of your way to do this. It's not going to be handed to you. I know it sucks. Trust me, I was a pro gamer for 8 years. I made no money too, but it never stopped me. I was never like, oh, I can't make enough money to do it. Like you have to push through. As long as you're not starving, keep pushing through. In my opinion, if you're starving, it's time to reality check anyways, because, I know it sucks. That's all I can say.
I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I just want to say I appreciate the shit out of both of you. You guys are sharing really honest, good opinions and going back and forth. Continue.
Well,
I like
last note for me on it is just I don't totally disagree with you on like that general like philosophy, but on the topic of like sustainability, I do think that there's an importance in supporting those mid-tier players and making sure that they feel like they can at least pursue it and not have to beat the best players in the world to be good, because otherwise you get that kind of like almost like exaggerated Hollywood effect where it's like the top of the top are fine, and then one step below it you're like, how do you ever justify
where's your mid-tier line? Because I think the line is important to draw to understand what that tier is making financially.
For me,
like if it's below the round of 32 of WCS, then I agree those people are making no money. But when we get to the top round of 32, people who are getting top 4 in Challenger, those people are fine. People who are getting flights to WCS events and getting top 32, I think those people are fine. It depends on who you are and where you are on that line.
Personally, for me, it extends further beyond top 4 of NA and EU.
Further beyond, like top 8 in NA?
I think it'd be cool if it was like top 8, top 16. I would say
top 8 is perfectly fine for mid-tier.
I feel like now we're getting into like the true weeds of things.
I will moderate. I'll have to jump in there. I like this discussion, but I think we actually should give it its due time. I like it. Jake, we'll have you back on.
I'm fine with going on about it later.
Yeah, we'll have to do it. Please, chat, hold me responsible. I'd love to talk about this because I think this is a great debate and discussion. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer, but I think there's definitely a cool discussion back and forth. And it wasn't Spet. It was who asked that? MLTY, who owns the Artosis Moon shirt. So of course he's a smart guy, and he's a Patreon supporter. It's like it all makes sense at this point in time. He probably has a 400-inch dick as well, if that's what he wants. And then I apologize because there was a bunch of questions in here that I responded to already. Hello, gents. Mechanical skills or analytical skill? He's asking mechanical skills or analytical/unorthodox decision making. Which is better? And then he talks about Koreans and stuff. And you can answer shortly with this. Yeah, he's asking, would you rather have basically mechanical skills or analytical/unorthodox decision making? Like which is the more important thing to have?
Mechanical skills, 100%.
Yeah.
Like if you're
right?
What?
It's like a more reliable like.
Well, you can't have the other if you don't have mechanical skills.
The thing is, okay, I can be a gold league player with the analytics of fucking Jesus.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna beat Maru. I'm not gonna beat stats. I could be the best.
I don't know, man. Did you hear what people were saying about Haas?
It's literally impossible. Okay, because these people are so mechanically good, they're just gonna have 10 times your units. It doesn't matter if you're a genius, right? So, mechanics. I'll pick mechanics 100%.
I mean, a macro if you never go past one base.
Fear Dragon's being a contrarian, but I think I think it's pretty straight up. The analytics of Jesus, by the way, is the quote of the week for me. Livier. Oh, your name's backwards. Just pure evil. Oh my God, it's backwards. Just pure evil. But forwards, it's liveruptizage. Okay. Anyways, he says, "Phew, guess I'm old because it was a serious struggle to get all this Patreon Discord stuff to work. It's worth it to buy a shirt, subscribe, and make sure this show goes on." I don't know why I read all that. But now that I'm here, I have 2 starter questions. When you all and other casters / StarCraft celebs talk about great past players, my personal hero and favorite never seems to get mentioned, MC. Do you two see him as less skillful than the MVPs Reigns, Jaedong so often alluded to, or just a fanboy misapprehension on my part? So I'll answer. Let's ask that first. How come MC's never mentioned, guys? What do you think?
I think MC is mentioned a lot. He's just not like mentioned as one of the greatest. I think MC was the highest prize earning person for a very long time. It just depends on who you talk to and who prefers what. I think MC is actually one of the best players when you look back on and reminisce on. He had a great personality. He was clearly one of the strongest players at a point in time. He's Korean, so having a great personality is something that's kind of unique to Koreans that are top tier. So when I look back on him, I think he's absolutely one of the people that we mention a lot when it comes to Koreans and personality, at least.
Yeah, just pure evil. I don't know why he's not mentioned on the show. I don't think it's any kind of like hatred or dislike of him. It just hasn't come up, I guess. Go ahead, Fear.
And Rain, and when you wait 1 sec. Wow. Rain and Jaedong, in the same sense as MVP, it's if they're there for different reasons, right?
Fair enough.
Like MVP was clearly one of the most dominant StarCraft players, period, in Korea. Rain and Jaedong was clearly one of the most dominant Brood War players. Like, it's a little bit different. I don't know. Sorry, go ahead, Ravi.
I don't know. I was just gonna say, like, I'm one of the people that I like saying that I think MC was one of like the greatest like legends for StarCraft. So I get to hear whenever I say that, all the haters come after me. So what I usually hear from their side is that there's like a lot of things about MC. Yeah, in the very early days, he was doing really well, but then later on, he ran away. He was like running away to Europe and blah blah, and like he was playing all these events with like foreigners and stuff. So that's like the criticism I hear. I don't really buy into it because I still think that he had really good results for screens even after that.
MVP did the same thing too. Didn't MVP win?
I mean, if there's anyone hating on MC's results, they're pretty foolish. Like,
yeah.
That guy lived on a plane and still won heaps of money, $500,000 or whatever it was.
Yeah, he's absolute legend.
Yeah. I very much appreciate all of the business side of StarCraft 2 discussed on the show and other outlets and control uses, and I hope to get both of your opinions on one angle that frustrates me. So much effort and expense, I presume, is spent on making these elaborate productions for the major WCS circuit stops, all of which mimics sportscasting paradigms found on ESPN and the like. For me, however, not only does this come across as very, well, fake and bogus, but also very counter to gamer counterculture. I think the looser vibe of Homestory Cup being so popular backs my perception upon this. Do you two think it's a mistake to promote StarCraft in such a traditional way, Monday Night Football style? If not, why? What do you guys think about the presentation of, let's say, WCS StarCraft?
I think presenting it professionally is very, very important, especially when we're talking about sponsorships, which is probably the most important thing when it comes to support for players, which is what we were talking about before. Whereas if you are representing your esport in a less professional manner, you are less likely to have sponsors directly wanting to be a part of your organization or whatever. It just happens. Like, sponsors do not want to take risks on sponsorships. Like, they want it to be like a very, like, I'm safe doing this. Here's my money. Take it. Wear my shirt. And also, when we're bringing a professional vibe like this, you bring a lot of traditional people in as well. It's more accessible for these people. I think it's a very positive thing to always be professional in the big stuff, the massive stuff. But at the same time, I feel the Homestory Cup vibe is just as important, but for a different reason. And I certainly don't think we should have all our WCSs like Homestory Cup. Like, that would be a nightmare. If you imagine our scene with all of our WCS events as like Homestory Cup. Like, could you imagine a sponsor wanting to get in and like, yes, take my money, where there's people like throwing up in the background and stumbling across stage? Like, you know, just my opinion.
Ravi?
I'm pretty much in line with Jake on a lot of that. Like, I think it's it's for the most part like you want diversity, you want people to represent like different levels of like the professionality and all that good stuff. And I think also it's like, yeah, I don't know. Anything I say is just going to be like a repeat.
Yeah, and I agree with it. I think Jake answered it really well. Steve Gazzola asked a question. I answered it in the Discord, so that's why I'm not going to out him here. Viva. Hi, guys. I've been following StarCraft 2 during Wings of Liberty times, not so much after, and now returning, so it's good to see familiar faces in StarCraft doing well. Where is Husky in HD StarCraft? Anyway, I'm growing older and become machine learning / AI researcher. Years ago, we did some competitions for Brood with automated strategy generation. Nice. There's a lot of good machine learning research going on using StarCraft. We can still learn a lot from pro players, I feel. So my question, how do you think the knowledge about strategy has evolved since Wings of Liberty? Last show you mentioned current best players are probably one of the best ever because knowledge of the game keeps increasing. I take this as not just adapting to new meta, but having more fundamental understanding of the game. Having watched so many games as pro players / casters, could you give some examples on what new fundamental insights were gained in the past years? Can this knowledge, for example, be generalized to other RTS games? And finally, please get 4K Grubby on the show. I remember his medevac micro vividly.
Was Grubby a Protoss?
He was a Protoss player. So this guy might be a time traveler. He's a little bit jet lagged from all. I'll answer this one really quick because I'll just thank you for the question. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for all the nice words. I think you're joking about where's Husky HD StarCraft because we made a joke about it. So where are they? I assume they are knee deep in cocaine and just doing great stuff in Los Angeles. I like the question though, and we could actually spend a lot more time on this. So I'll just give it a little bit of time, but make sure and this is something I'm sure our toasters would love to spill into. Over time, I think the best example you can use is early Wings of Liberty. Everyone was kind of relearning RTSs, right? Like people were coming back. A lot of people had left Brood War. Not many people were playing Warcraft 3. There wasn't really an RTS game that held everyone's attention because Brood War is kind of niche. So when StarCraft 2 first came out with Wings of Liberty, a lot of shitty players were pretty shitty, right? They were just slower. The general RTS stuff that you do was not quite as in-depth and as good. The game itself, skill ceiling, wasn't nearly as high because there's kind of some weird misconceptions about how easy the game needs to be versus how difficult to get the most people. And then over time, we've seen APMs grow. We've seen players' muscle memory and like just what they execute gets way deeper. Go ahead.
And they like optimizing everything. Like you figure out what optimal, every opener that's optimal is there, and you grind it out. Another thing is when the game first came out, a lot of people brought their Brood War knowledge into StarCraft 2, which doesn't apply at all to some extent. So like you see way lower drone counts or way lower saturations of the game back then. Like there's a lot of slight nuances that change over time, and it just keeps growing and growing, and people get better and better over time.
Right.
It's the same thing as with Brood War when it first came out. I'm sure, I don't know for sure, I could be wrong, but I guarantee you the Brood War scene
we were all shit.
continuously saw improvement, especially from the very beginning.
Oh yeah,
I think it's harder sometimes to see in StarCraft 2 compared to Brood War because we get balance changes and we get like all these massive things that radically shift the game in other ways also, so it's hard to like pinpoint for a lot of people like how exactly the improvement exactly is happening, because like the strategy shift and you're like, oh, that's because of some balance change. But I think there's a lot of other really good stuff. Like a really good example I like to talk about is if you look at clips of people doing good War Prism micro from like 2 years ago and you play it now, people are like, that's just like super average level War Prism micro. And I'm like, actually no, that's really impressive for the time, and now everyone's standard is so much higher.
Yeah. The game's changing a lot. Another thing is they add new mechanics that make the game way more optimal. Like for example, the 16 worker like saturation on the top of your hatchery, that wasn't a thing in Wings of Liberty. You had to count out all your workers and make sure you had optimal saturation. That stuff makes the game way quicker. Like imagine you have 17 drones. You're like, all right, one over here. Or 18, 19. You just pull 3. It's so easy. It's really easy to saturate perfectly.
Well, I think the biggest word here is iteration, right? Like at the beginning of Wings of Liberty, people are just trying stuff out. We're talking 8 years later where people are like, no, we figured out that you don't do that.
Exactly.
And we'll keep doing it. Great question, though, and thank you guys for taking that. Scrolling down here, Washburn, in the early days of Wings of Liberty Pro League, did a hybrid StarCraft 2 Brood War tournament. There's no question mark.
Yes.
In the early days of Wings of Liberty, Pro League did a hybrid StarCraft 2 Brood War tournament. Okay, I read that weird. With the resurgence of StarCraft Remastered, do you think we could see something similar to this in the future?
I would fucking love that, by the way. I think that would be
Jake would
great.
love it.
If you did a Pro League where it was like the same thing, StarCraft and Brood War together, that would be so cool if we had I think Pro League is actually like one of the biggest mishandled things ever. It should never have been allowed to die. It was so important for everyone. Like that should never have gone down. If Blizzard had to pay ransom to like some KESPA organization, they should have paid it. Like that was massive to go down. And I mean, obviously there was some mismanagement or whatever. I don't know all the backstory, but my point is I would love to see it. I think promoting StarCraft 2 and Brood War together, they're so different that you won't lose the viewerships of each game. They each have their own individual unique thing, and there's like a lot of mixing. So I think it'd just be amazing. They should definitely do that. That'd be awesome.
The question is, could it happen? And I think it could. Having spoken with a lot of people at Blizzard and stuff like that, I will tell you that the angle for them on a global scale, from my opinion, by the way, it's not an official statement, is that StarCraft 2 is still something that they want to push forward because that's the international audience. If someone's going to spend money on this game, it's a lot less likely that they're going to spend money on Brood War and more likely on StarCraft 2. So as far as like what tournament Blizzard would get behind, it's more likely that it would be StarCraft 2. But could Brood War be paired up with that as a nice little thing? Yeah. But I feel like it wouldn't be Blizzard putting that on. It'd have to be somebody else. So
it could be a niche thing again.
Yeah.
Like totally could be. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Could happen. Baradadia asks, considering the relatively lackluster performance from Beyond since 2016, is it really fair to consider him one of the four horsemen of Terran? Shouldn't we start considering the four horsemen of Terran to be TY, Maru, Innovation, and Gumiho rather than Beyond? As Gumiho has been a much more consistent player in the last 2 years. If not Gumiho, who would you elect to represent the fourth spot of the four horsemen? Thanks again, loving the show. Ravi, let's start with you. Would you replace Beyond on the four horsemen?
This is so weird because like the way that I look at it is when you come up with like names or like random terms like that, that's kind of like that was like it. That's like the timeless thing. They're like embedded in history now. It's not like seats at a table and you're like, all right, we can only represent 4 Terrans now at any given time. We have to do the due respect. Like no matter what, they're always going to be the same level. It's actually no like I think that's just a term for the time.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know.
I mean, we don't really hear that saying much anymore. And if we do, I think it's clarified that, like, you're either talking about those four or you clarify who you're talking about.
Horsemen or something, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. But I if you're asking, do you think that Beyond is still a top 4 Terran player? Like, completely, like, take out the nickname thing out of it. I think that it's more accurate to say TY, Maru, Innovation, and Gumiho are top 4. I think Beyond has underperformed compared to his last year. He's not underperforming in any way, to be honest. It's just that his year before he was a GSL and world champion. So, anything that isn't also a GSL / world champion year is underperforming.
He got needs.
But, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just Tim asked the same question again, so hopefully you got that, buddy. We answered pretty well. TMR asks, question for the hosts and guests, which bear is best?
Bear?
Yeah.
The polar bear.
Polar bear for you?
Yeah.
Ravi?
Seems to be the most deadly.
I mean, I'm going to say that a panda bear
panda bear
is the best bear.
Okay. For me, the best bear is a brown bear because I'm a big burly bear man fan. I like big burly bears. Thank you, TMR, for testing the limits of where these questions can take us. IO System asks, are there any large design decisions you would want to see made in StarCraft 2, like the removal of the mothership core? And what's your reasoning? Thank you. Jake, is there anything in this game that you want removed?
Personally, I absolutely loved their Blizzard's ability or like I was worried that they would never make a change like that, like removing a mothership when we felt it wasn't comfortable. Like these changes are really hard to see Blizzard get behind because it's such a huge shakeup of the scene. Like I'm surprised it happened, and I'm so happy it did. Like I think the shield battery is a way better design, and I would love to keep seeing it. I don't have anything like specific in mind. Maybe like Swarm Hosts out would be good. I don't like the design of Swarm Hosts. I don't think anyone really does. Like we use them, but they're not particularly fun or anything.
They've been the poor stepchild of the game since they came out.
Yeah, so stuff like that, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it though.
Ravi, any major design stuff?
I mean, I've always thought that like if you fire out a disruptor shot, you should be able to blink it afterwards. I think it increases microability. No, I don't know. I just really don't have any thoughts on like changes or balance because like I think it's like I think that there should be people who think about things like that and provide that feedback. But I think that a lot of people dwell way too much time on thinking about how could the game be different and everything. The way I look at it is it's kind of like a massive Rubik's Cube mystery puzzle.
Yeah.
Like the fun is actually solving it with the tools you have, not being like, well, what if in this like murder mystery novel or something, what if you just told me these other things, or like we just change and pretend like this character was in this room and then they could be the murderer. It's like, well, no, that's not how the puzzle works.
That's actually how my brain tends to go with it as well. I don't think in terms of like, what if we removed this thing or added this thing? Unless there's a glaring hole, I think that's worth mentioning because from my experience with Dawn of War 3, when that game launched, I would tell you that it had a lot of UI issues, like very specifically, but I'm used and accustomed to being spoiled with StarCraft where our worst UIs were still better than that one. The loneliest Battle.net you've ever been on was like a Safari Cruise party boat in comparison to what Dawn of War 3 launched with. So it's kind of funny because when I was in Dawn of War 3 and playing that, I then did become a person that was like, here's some things that we need to kind of look at to hopefully make this game more playable. But with StarCraft 2, I find myself more often than not, like, whenever someone's like, can we just remove such and such? I'm like, are you a whiner? Are you a whiny piece of poop?
I agree with that.
Yeah, we're pretty spoiled. Not to say IO system that your question's bad. I'm just trying to explain my thought process. MLTY asks, thoughts on the mechanical Zerg skins. Did you guys see that? The teaser for it? Tonight?
Oh,
no.
It looks so dope.
I didn't actually.
Jake, you'll like it. There's a robotic Hydralisk, man. It's a robot.
That sounds cool. Am I gonna get mechanical bio units though?
I assume so. Oh yeah, hopefully.
So can I repair them?
Exactly. Can we shut them down?
One thing about they also showed like a purple immortal. That's the one thing I'm like, I really like this, but at the same time, I'm really afraid we're gonna get another one of those like situations where you have the immortal that looks exactly like the stalker again. You're like, you're messing with the color palettes again.
Oh,
right.
Tilo's finger's hovering over that tweet button. Don't you worry about it. He's got it right here, ready to come in. So final question. Go ahead, Jake, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Last question, boys. We have from Ripple Carey. He asks, has anyone seen my pants?
No.
I'm trying to think if I've ever met Ripple Carey. I think I did, actually, in which case I would have seen your pants. So the answer is yes, I've seen your pants before. That's it.
Yeah.
Cobra's got the video
Alrighty.
here. You want to show it, Cobra, real quick? Is it being shown? I can't see. Maybe it is. Boom. Here's the
Of his
preview.
pants?
No.
Yeah.
We don't have video
yeah,
of that.
Gotcha.
That is a lurker, right? No, it's a Hydra, I guess.
They already got him.
No, the preview, man. Look, there it is. I don't know. Anyways,
Looks
that's
sick.
gonna be more of that's gonna be
that's
shown tonight.
cool.
I guess it's War Chest 3. So
Or will
one
they
of,
save it for day 4?
one of the questions was how do you support the scene? It's stuff like that. When they come out with content like that, just
That's
buy
so
it up,
cool.
share it,
Oh my god.
talk about it. All right, well, I'm going to ask
so
a
excited.
couple from the questions only here. This has been long. So I'll ask just a couple questions here.
Wait, I want to ask one question myself.
Oh, wow.
Do you guys think that we should have skins in WCS?
I'm not nearly as opinionated as some people. Nathanius feels very strongly that we should. And then it's funny
I'm
because
personally in that boat too.
some pro gamers are like, "Oh, absolutely not! I can't tell what's going on."
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, I don't know. I think if you have them enabled, I feel like there should be a way for like a pro gamer to not see skins on somebody else. Like that
Mhm.
should always be the case, and if that's the case, then absolutely, there's no reason.
Yeah,
not to.
why can't we have a toggleable skin thing? Like you just disable other people's skins in the settings or whatever. Like then you would be able to
The
promote the
argument
skins
that
on
people have
WCS.
is that they want the skins are not just for you. It's to show it off to other people, and they don't want everyone to just disable it. And then
Okay, then just for pro gamers at WCS then.
Yeah.
yeah,
we
I
do
think
have
it'd be
the
cool if
technology.
like when you create a lobby, you can just have a little drop down that says like disable all skins, only like approved like competitive skins or something like that, and enable all skins. It'd be cool if they had like just a little lobby setting that did that, because then we also avoid all those stupid WCS issues where it's like, well, Scarlet saw the skin, but then she didn't say anything about it for 4.5
Oh,
minutes.
that was
and then she called for the DQ.
In my
We
opinion.
don't get those situations.
I like it.
Yeah, that was just dumb. Okay, anyways.
All right, couple questions because the show has actually gone pretty long. Gunner asks, no regret, just mentioned day 9, which got me thinking, any feelers out for a Holiday Bash 2018, or is it too early still? PSA Anita, is it though? Coffee mug with the Pylon logo now. That's a good one, Cobra. Is it though?
Let's see if I can get that made up.
He's going to try to do it for you guys. Having worked previous Holiday Bashes, it's definitely possible. These kind of things sometimes are kind of scrabbled together later than you would think, but I would tell you that right now I have heard nothing. And if they did a Holiday Bash without me, the bad news is I would go downtown and I would unplug all of the wires and chase people out of the building so that they could not have a Holiday Bash without me. So
I think for the amount it costs to produce one of those things, it's 100% worth it to do it. Like, they should always do it.
Yeah,
it just needs to be like regular and like, you know, get a schedule for it and just bang it out once a year. Kind of like an offline pylon, but like a long-term thing. Like, just do whatever you want. I think that stuff's great. Love it.
I definitely plan on doing this is only loosely related. I definitely plan on doing a Pylon Show Holiday Edition. Very much so akin to the drunk episode of State of the Game in the past. Dan has 3 kids, so the likelihood that I can get him to drink is very low. But
I would drink.
Yeah, Jake would drink. So we'll rotate some people in there. I think we can do a nice big, end of the year celebration type of show, and we'll have some drinks. And we'll do something. Zombie Grub's always good for drinking, so we'll probably have to have her on there. Anyways.
Sounds great.
This one's for Fear Dragon. I like this. Do you miss the tank-evac? The concept of Defender's Advantage barely exists in StarCraft 2, so we could just bring it anyways. Do you miss it, Fear Dragon? The tank-evac?
Can I just default to my answer on the balance thing? Or like
you don't think
changes
that way?
where I'm just like, all right, the puzzles change because people complained enough about it, so I'll just think about it here.
Yeah, all right, fair enough.
The tank evac was actually awful. I'm sorry it wasn't directed to me. I'm so
Excuse me,
He
Joel,
hates
that
it.
was a question for me, not
I'm
for you.
so
Nobody
glad
cares
it's not in the
what
game
your
anymore.
opinion was.
It made TVT absolutely awful. There was no positioning at all. YOLOing into people's bases was the standard, and then you had to build a fuck ton of turrets to not have them to not YOLO into your base. Like it was just like the weird and mech with fly. Okay,
He didn't like it.
no.
Jake, last question. This one's for you. This is from Alessandro, who's a fantastic voyeur of StarCraft 2 happenings and goings. I enjoy the house guest streams you used to do. Special and his chicken and the Koreans invite over for lunch. Has that evolved into memes and dreams in anonymous tournament, or will there be house streams now and then still?
Special at chicken?
The house streams are one of my favorite things we used to do. We used to do them to raise money for the house because we didn't have any sponsors or anything. We are financially good. The house pays for itself now. Like when I'm actually putting money out, that's why we're doing the anonymous and the memes and dreams.
Cool.
It has kind of evolved to that because for the Koreans, it was a lot easier before. We were in Seoul. It was really close. Now we're a lot farther. So to entice them to come, we do tournaments and stuff like that. So essentially, yes, but I would love to do the old stuff. We have Solar moving into our house soon, which is huge. And I haven't announced that yet, but it's here now.
There it is. There's the announcement.
And we could totally do a stream like that. So look out for that, I guess.
Solar is one of my absolute favorite personalities. He's actually so funny, speaks great English, and is a top-notch Zerg, which is just a ridiculous little package there.
He's great. I love him.
So that'll be cool. Look forward to Solar being there, and thank you for that feedback. Great questions, guys. This has been an excellent, excellent show. Thank you to you guys, which we'll send you off in a second here. But first and foremost, I do want to thank our Patreon supporters. These are the people that make this show possible. Making this content's great, y'all, but if Dan and I, of course, if we take time out, or Scott and Cobra, if we take time out and organize this kind of thing, but it isn't going anywhere, then we unfortunately can't make it. But these are the people that say, you know what, Jeff and Dan and Cobra, we're going to make it go somewhere. And thank you to these guys. Really appreciate that. If you don't see your name on that list, and it should be on there, that's because you should be a Patreon supporter. And you should start to kind of think about your life in terms of what would happen after you're a Patreon supporter. You have love and admiration from Artosis, all right? You've got Cobra's attention. He'll write your little name into a thing there, and I'll be aware of your existence, and our show will continue. So thank you to these people. You guys are awesome. There they are. Please support us on Patreon. If you can't do that, subscribing is awesome, but also just following the show, watching the show, that's of course something. So thank you guys to everyone that does that. Boys, Fear Dragon, Jake, you guys are awesome. Thank you for coming on. Ravi, what do you got coming up? I know that Ladder Heroes is back online at some point in time here. You're doing some other stuff. What's going on with you?
Yeah, Ladder Heroes is returning this Saturday. It's going to be a lot of fun for me to try and do that from Korea at a very,
I was just going to say, holy cow, man.
So the nice thing is I redid the entire Ladder Heroes website, so it's actually 100% automated now.
Awesome.
And I don't have to do jack squat until the end of the month. I literally just look at the website. I'm like, all right, these are the players. But yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. I changed up the format a little bit, so look out for that. You can check out my stuff on Fear Dragon 64 for all social media, but really you should just check out the YouTube because that's where the Wardy 10-hour compilation laugh video is going to be.
Oh, thank God. Yeah. And when it does, you're going to hit this weird viral meme where you're going to become world famous. You'll have to remember us little StarCraft.
I'm going to go full Fenner. I'm just going to be like, actually, guys, forget commentating or streaming or anything.
What has Fenner done? What did he do?
Well, he blew up on YouTube for Overwatch.
He's big on YouTube?
Just like, because he was doing all the streaming for a really long time, and then like his YouTube just took the fuck off. Like,
how many subscribers he got?
I don't know. It's been a while since I looked at it.
That's crazy. I did not know that. I just knew he was streaming, but
I thought he just disappeared. The ethers.
He went to Overwatch, and his stream was like
18K followers.
His stream was doing okay, and then like
118K.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that's insane.
Like a lot of his videos get like
100K views.
Yeah, they get a pretty decent number of views.
Good for him.
Oh, he actually looks smaller now as of late, but he's doing Realm Royale.
Yeah, he used to at least be getting like between 20 to like 80K views on most of his videos.
Oh, look at his little profile picture too. That's when you know you're a YouTuber. Oh my God. Well, this is where I would, if Artosis were here, this is where he would explain to you that StarCraft people are the most talented, smart, and best people. So of course he's excelling at YouTube. Good for him. Jake, thank you so much for coming on. It was, like you said, it was the first time I've been on with you, and I can see why we keep asking you to come back. You're awesome. What's news for you? What's coming up? Yeah, what do you got going on?
I mean, I guess I have KSL coming on tonight, so after GSL vs. World, watch it, because GSL vs. World is still my first love. And you can follow me on Twitter. I'm doing a lot of stuff right now. I'm the busiest I've ever been.
Awesome.
But I'll keep you up to date with anything you should really know on Twitter. So, yeah. I love you guys.
Well, thank you. We'll have both these guys on, and Neuro. My goal, by the way, if we can get the show big enough, is just to have a little window in the corner of the show where Neuro just is there all the time and just talks. He'll just chime in and be like, Dan, it sounds like you have a lot of anger about this subject. Is there any way that we can work through the kind of psychosis?
He'd be a great mediator.
Yeah.
You should just have him here for every argument. Like, as soon as we get into an argument, like, well, we got to call Neuro. It's like, all right.
You have a special screen for him, like Huck had Huck's like the jury thing for.
Yes, that would be great.
What a treat that would be. For me personally, guys, I'm just home streaming for a while here. I will be joining probably, and this is a weird thing where I'm putting Ravi on the spot, but I think Ravi will be casting WCS Season 3 Challenger as well. Ravi, are you?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess it's announced now?
Well, I mean, they never announce anyways. It's coming up, so you can expect that, and then of course.
How did you enjoy that GSL versus the World and caster announcement? By the way,
was there one?
No.
Yeah.
Maynard was messaging me like, "So, I'm in Korea. I can't talk about like literally today." He was like, "So, still can't announce, guys, that I'm casting something in Korea."
We're thinking it's about year 9 where Blizzard starts announcing their casts and stuff like that before the event actually happens. We'll figure it out. But that's it. That's going to do it for us. I did see some subs in the channel. Thank you guys so much. I don't shout you out personally during the show, but please know that I appreciate it. Thank you to the new Patreon and the old Patreon people. You guys are the lifeblood, and everybody that, if you buy a shirt, buy a mug or whatever, buy some tea, send us pictures. We will at least laugh, but probably cry just a little bit. And one of the subs, by the way, was Zenny, who didn't like my dog snoring, but did sub to the channel. So see what happens? See how we turn people around here? I love turnaround. We will probably... Yeah, we're going to have a show next week. I'm almost certain of it. Anyways, thank you guys. Thank you to Jake. Thank you to Ravi. Thank you to Artosis, who was on earlier. We'll see you guys later next week on The Pylon Show. You guys take it easy.